out of every dollar you make, what are you comfortable being taxed on, like being taken away?
It depends what I get for that. Can I give an example?
Sure.
Okay. My willingness to be taxed would be greater if, for example, my or my daughter's college education were paid for by those taxes. So in a vacuum, it's really hard to answer that question because it depends what we get.
Okay, so let me continue with these questions.
Sure, please.
So who do you think makes better decision for your daughter, you or the government?
What kinds of decisions?
School.
What kind, like college?
Let's just say if you pay me, I'm the government, but I'll choose which school she can go to, versus you don't pay me, the government. You take that responsibility and you get to choose to send your daughter to what school she wants to go to.
What do you mean the government chooses?
But I'm giving you those options. So meaning the government says these are the schools that will pay the tuition for. Okay.
You're talking college and university?
I'm talking college and university.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. You're talking public school.
I didn't know which direction you were going.
Yeah,
with it.
But go back to when I asked you the question. I asked the question. I said, so what percentage of your dollar are you willing to be taxed on?
Yeah.
Not taxed on, just taxed.
Yeah.
And you said it depends on what happens with what I'm paying for.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of what you said. Okay.
Sure.
So do you think?
I mean, is that logical? Do you agree with that, at least in principle?
Do you? Well, I think you have a good brain and a good mind to make better decisions on what to do with your money than the government can.
No, but before we go into the specific education, because I'm trying to find points of agreement here, because I actually don't think we're really that far apart on a lot of these issues. Are you of the mindset that, just hypothetically, are you okay paying more in taxes if the taxes include fire, police, roads, bridges? Are you generally just
have you ever lent anybody money?
Yes, but you're not answering my question.
But I'm going to answer too. Okay. This is my way of answering. You have your way of answering. I'm going to answer you the way I'm answering. So, have you ever lent the same person? Have you ever lent money to somebody a good amount and they never paid you back?
Fortunately, not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I feel the same way you do about giving money to the government because they haven't had a good track record of doing right things with my money.
No, it sounds like you're saying the opposite. I'm saying I have not had an experience.
Well, but you're wiser. Good for you that you haven't had that experience because it sucks. But here's the part. Have you ever lent your car to somebody and it didn't work out for you?
No.
Never happened to you?
No. I have leases and I just tell them, listen, I'm the only person who can drive. I don't even know if that's true. I just say, my insurance won't cover it.
Have you ever allowed somebody to borrow anything from you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, give me an idea. Something, anything.
Something like that they broke or something like
Whatever
that?
you lend somebody.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. And people don't really ask me for stuff very often. Like
This is a serious question here, man. Like the world is relying on you giving the right answer.
What have I mean, maybe when I was like 14, I lent somebody a Discman and they didn't.
Are you a video game guy? Are you a gamer?
Not really.
So what do you do for fun?
Bike, read, travel.
You ever lent a bike to somebody?
God, no.
So you may not be.
No, I've lent a bike. No, I've lent a bike.
Okay,
yeah, I've lent my bike.
So have you ever lent a bike to somebody?
Yes.
And they jacked it up?
No.
You've never had that happen?
No.
To you? Then you're living in a freaking utopia. That's why you don't understand economy yet, maybe.
I have undergraduate and graduate
I know,
degrees in economics.
But that's concerning as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
that probably means I know less in your mind,
well,
right?
no, not necessarily. That just means you programmed. It's a different story to think in one way because that
I disagree with you.
But that part is true. A lot of it with current education.
I was programmed and then deprogrammed.
Well, when you got 13-1, that's a true monopoly of professors on the left to the right. That's a pure monopoly. But let me go back to the question. What I'm asking. You asked me the question: are you comfortable? As long as what they do with the money.
That wasn't my question.
What was your question?
My question was, as a general principle,
yeah,
are you okay paying a little more if you get more?
Same question. In my eyes, it's the same thing. Here's why the answer is no.
Oh.
Okay. The reason why the answer is no, I love your sarcasm. The reason why the answer is no is because if I give somebody a relative $1,000,
okay,
it's the last $1,000 going to give me. I'm telling you, bro, I'm going to pay you back $1,500 in 2 years.
Yep.
Never get it back.
Okay.
2 years later, you come back to me. Hey, this time give me $5,000, but I promise you, I'm going to give it back 10 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Here you go. 2 years later, he comes back up. Dude, this time I'm asking for 10, but I'm changed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm good, bro. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
I'm a changed man.
Give me the money. Yeah. I'm going to fix it If you give it the third time, you're an idiot in my eyes. We keep giving money to people with zero accountability, and we just keep saying, here, go spend this money.
What money are you talking about?
$1.9 trillion.
But money for what programs?
Any programs that we're giving money to that there's no accountability for is being wasted. Any one of them.
But name
include
one.
Military. Include any of the entitlement programs that we have.
Like which one?
Include welfare. Include food stamps. Include any one of them. We can pull it up and I'll tell you right now any one of them.
But what I don't understand is, what do you mean by there's no accountability?
Can I give an example, please? Because I think what you're trying to say is...
The fact that you don't know where I'm going with this is an issue. Well, because, so what you're saying is, you know exactly what happens with the money when you give it to when you pay taxes?
No, I just don't understand what you're talking about.
You really don't know what I'm talking about.
Let me give you some examples.
Can I just give one example, and then we can open this up and you guys can have fun doing what you're doing? What I think you are saying is, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think what Patrick is alluding to is the fact that we are now at $30 trillion in debt.
Okay.
And the fact that we keep piling on this issue of like, I get it. We all need military. We need the police. We need the firemen. We need all these social systems. We need a social safety net. We need welfare. We need Medicaid. We need Medicare. I think what his point is like, at what point is enough enough? Now we want to pile more stuff into our storage unit that is already filled to the brim, and we're going to keep piling and piling and piling more. And at what point is he saying, can we stop funding the government this way? Because it's not a good look for us, because we're at 31, 32, 35 trillion. And what he's saying, I think, is like, we're going to have to make some cuts and make some adjustments. Okay. And you're saying, let's double down. Let's keep adding some to this stuff.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm like, you want to add more systems, you said.
I think
you said I want one or two more.
No, but wait a minute. You really didn't understand what I just said.
Did he not understand it, or did I not?
I'm asking you.
I want to get to just a very specific example of a specific program that you're displeased with.
Buddy, anything.
So you're against all government programs.
I didn't tell you all government programs.
So which ones are you against?
If you give money into programs that you're coming out saying, hey, we're going to spend $88 million for this.
Okay.
If you want me to pull it up and we can go through expenses and tell you which ones works and which one doesn't, we can do that as well if that's what you want to do. But if you constantly come to me for more money, let me just put it to you this way.
Yeah.
What does it mean when is or an individual is in debt $200,000?
When a company or an individual is in debt.
Let's just say I'm in the $200,000.
Okay.
And it was $100,000 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was $50,000 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was $10,000 15 years ago. I come to you for another $50,000. Right. Should you lend it to me?
Probably not, no.
What are we doing? What are we doing? We're lending our taxpayer.
It sounds like you're analogizing.
But we're lending our taxpayer money, and we keep getting into more and more and more and more in debt. If the government was an individual or a corporation, I don't understand why investors keep giving this government more money when they have no cash.
The critical answer is the government and countries are not like households or companies. That's the difference. It's not an.
That's not true.
It's not
though.
analogous.
That's not
it's
true.
Not
though.
analogous.
That's not true though. So meaning it's okay for us to keep going into debt. That's okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
So what is different about it?
It's important to have a balanced view that when it comes to, and what's crazy about this is, I'm not advocating for getting more and more into debt, right? Trump did a great job of it blowing up the deficit. The deficit, we still have a positive deficit. It's slightly lower under Biden.
Notice I didn't say Republican or Democrat.
Neither,
I'm telling you, I'm not supportive of it, period.
Presidents, generally speaking, increase the debt.
But first make the argument on how different it is to give the analogy of personal household, that it's okay for the government to increase its debt, but not on the personal side.
It's not a question of it's okay. It's not the same. And what I'm struggling with, Patrick, is that like everything I'm saying is just being relayed to me, usually interrupting me incorrectly. So now I'm having to clean up what you think I said to then answer the original thing. My point is the following.
You said those three are different things.
They are different
Explain
things.
why.
They are different things.
Explain.
With a household or corporate budget or debt, you at some point at the end of the day don't have any more recourse to carry the debt, and you either have to declare bankruptcy or you have to, all the things that you know. With a country, of course, if the economic growth becomes decoupled from the growth in the national debt, that is a problem. We've seen it in many, many countries. But in the United States, and again, I'm not saying who cares about the debt or the deficit, but I think we have to appreciate that there's a difference. If your economy keeps growing, if that national debt grows more or less in parallel with the growth of the economy, and it continues to be backed, you don't get to that day where there is the you're now being evicted crisis that an individual has. That doesn't mean, let me say this one more time. I'm not saying the debt doesn't matter. There are people who say it literally does not matter. I'm not saying that.
Here's the question. Okay, so but let me kind of try to give the point of the example I want to give to you.
Yeah.
So what is a sign when an institution keeps increasing its debt? What sign is there? So if I keep getting fatter, is it because I'm a big bone person, or it's because I may have a bad diet and not exercising? What do you think?
I guess you
need
personally.
polls. I forgot.
You personally? I guess I'd have to ask your doctor. I don't know.
If you're a small bone guy, you don't seem like you were big when you were. Have you ever been 200 pounds?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if you all of a sudden next time you come on the podcast, you're 250 pounds,
you
should
would
I
be worried
concerned?
about me. You should be concerned.
So can you accidentally become 250 pounds?
It would be a number of accidents in a row.
Exactly. Which, by the way, you probably enjoyed your dinner. You probably enjoyed your food.
Right.
But if you came back 250 pounds, as a friend or even somebody that's in the similar space that we're creating content, should I off camera say, hey, bro, what's up?
I would appreciate it if you did.
Okay, I should do. You're a father. You got a kid. I'd like you to be around for your daughter.
Thank you.
Statistically, we're a better society when we are.
Right.
Okay. So if you come to me and I'm smelling bad. I'm not shaving. I look like crap. I have nothing. And I'm getting worse week after week after week. Should you question it and say, Pat, is everything okay?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
These are fun examples.
I'm trying to have fun with you.
Different than what we're talking about.
If a country keeps increasing its debt year after year after year after year after year, should we not be concerned?
We should be concerned about whether we're spending money in the right ways. We should be concerned about whether we're collecting the right amount.
But let's give them another $1.9 trillion.
I'm not saying that. That's the thing. You know, I don't.
But you are saying that because you said the only difference when you went to your example of military and you wanted me to say yes, and you said, look, I'm not a socialist because I think this. And he said, the only difference is I just want 2 or 3 more programs. And what I'm saying is we can't afford it today.
Okay. That's
maybe in 20 years.
But And I worry that I don't know if you think I'm talking in bad faith or if you maybe don't understand my political views, but I think differences that are actually much more subtle than you think they are being blown up as if there's this crazy difference here about what's going on. We're definitely using different rhetoric in this conversation, but I don't know whether we're actually understanding each other really that well, because I'm with you. If there are programs that are wasteful, how do we define wasteful, right? That's the difficulty. But if there are programs that are wasteful, if there are programs that are not economically stimulative, if there are programs that are being used for fraudulent reasons or whatever the case, I'm going to be right there with you saying we need to do something about this. The things I'm looking at when they are done in other countries, the country doesn't become socialist. You can still own your business. They don't socialize your business. They don't communize your business. None of those things happen. Many of these countries have really good business environments, but they're just saying, hey, we have enough riches here that this capitalist system has created, which I'm in favor of, where we can do a couple more things. That's all I'm saying.
What I'm saying to you is...
You don't want it.
No, it's not what I'm saying to you, that I don't want it.
Yeah, we can't afford it.
If you can stop interrupting this entire damn show, freaking,
it's not fun, is it?
No, I'm good with it. It's part of having conversations with people. It doesn't offend me. But if I sit there and I say, David, we can't afford it right now.
Okay, I would say, what do you mean?
I would tell you it's called $31 trillion.
Okay.
Is what it's called. We're in debt, a lot of debt.
Okay.
And you may not have to pay it back. Somebody has to pay it back. Your 7-year-old's going to have to pay it back, but that money's not going to print. 7-month-old's going to have to pay it back. Someone's going to pay it back. Okay. That $31 trillion, you're not just one day going to say, guys, let's just write this thing off. You guys okay, China? Hey, Japan, you cool? Let's just write this thing off and just forget about it. And let's start again.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? Well, we can't do that. We have that debt. We can't afford it right now.
One of the things about a lot of these issues is, first of all, They're way bigger than any conversation where we just like list the programs and say we cut. If you look historically, countries don't cut their way to economic prosperity. Countries tend to grow their way to economic prosperity. You with me so far?
Yes.
Countries grow their way out of economic prosperity.
No, that's the opposite of what I said.
Countries
grow their way into economic prosperity. They grow by
I've
building
heard that one too
businesses.
many times. So let's keep getting into debt, is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is, over the long term, if the government spending is economically stimulative, it will help to grow the economy. It's fundamental demand side economics. So like as an example, there are certain government programs that are highly, are these cigars, by the way? I just noticed this over here.
You can take it.
If countries spend money on, I don't know, you seem to be looking something up. I don't know if you're paying attention.
I'm listening to you,
listen
though.
to me?
I am listening to you. Go ahead.
If countries spend money on economically stimulative programs with a high economic multiplier, they can create growth. If countries spend money in ways that are not economically stimulative, then it increases the debt. So for example, just to pick two different programs, I don't have any emotional attachment to these two programs. I'm just going to list two programs. Food stamps and what is happening in here, by the way? Are those gummies?
Yeah, taking vitamins.
Man, this is
Trying to be healthy for you.
I know.
I don't want to be the 400-pound guy.
Food stamps have a high economic multiplier, okay? Tax cuts for the very rich have a low economic multiplier. I'm not passing any judgment in any way. I'm just telling you there are ways that the government can spend money that is good for the economy and ways that is not so good. That's my only point.
What were the two programs you said you wanted to add on?
I think we should have some kind of minimum level healthcare system for everybody. And
Okay.
it would actually be cheaper than what we have. What we have includes people that go to the emergency room as primary care, which is insanely expensive. Sometimes they don't pay their bills, and that leads to everybody who does have health insurance is just absorbing that cost. It would just be cheaper if we provided everybody some basic level of care. There are states that have done it. I think that's just a basic thing. And secondly, I would like to socialize some aspect of paid family leave, parental and maternal. Not hugely expensive. It's economically stimulative in the sense that when other countries have done it, they find that productivity ends up being higher when parents return to work, and it's been widely studied. These are just like two things. We're already paying for most of them, either in terms of productivity losses or through the healthcare that we pay for to absorb people who don't pay and use the emergency room. It can be done, revenue neutral.
What percentage, like if going back to it, with what we have right now, the way it is today,
Yeah.
what percentage of your dollar are you comfortable paying in taxes?
1%.
Really?
Less than Abe Lincoln imposed. No, listen, I mean,
by the way, I'm not going. This has nothing to do with what I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, I
You
know.
pulled up a different story. I'm not going to this. But what percent are you willing to pay today?
I am not a high tax guy. Okay.
What's high tax?
High tax. I mean, listen, I don't want to get too much into my personal finances, but like I don't like that.
I'm not auditing you, bro.
I don't
I'm just
like
asking
that.
you a simple question.
I don't like that close to half of my income is going to taxes.
You don't like
I
that?
think it's too high. I think it's too
So
high.
what do you think is reasonable?
Oh man, does it include healthcare in college or not?
I don't know.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
give a number though.
I
say
think-
it doesn't.
I
Say it
think
doesn't. That's
No
on you.
healthcare, no college.
No healthcare, no college.
Yeah.
Status
What
quo.
we have today.
I would love to be in the 31 total.
Just so
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I don't
we're
know.
on the same page there.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, the difference is the following.
Yeah.
One time I'm doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I'm doing a podcast with. Anyways, this was like a year and a half ago.
Sounds explosive.
And then no, it wasn't explosive. Actually, you know what I like about podcasts like this?
Yeah.
It makes me go research a topic.
Mm-hmm.
So one time we did a podcast about taxes. And how taxes at one point 90%, it was 90% taxes, and it was like for a long time.
Ronald
this is,
Reagan,
Ronald
how he
Reagan.
wouldn't do more
Well,
than two
how
movies a
Hollywood
year.
was. This
Yeah.
is what they're doing. This is what it was like.
So you're talking about a 90% marginal on the very top incomes under Eisenhower,
Correct.
right?
Can
Okay,
I
just
can
make-
I make my point without you freaking intellects with degrees to interrupt this freaking high school graduate?
See, that's
guy.
ad hominem.
Okay. All right. So let me go back to this with these two Jews bullying me right now. So we're talking about taxes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, let me go find out what's going on with taxes here
figure
and
it
the
out.
history of it. Okay. So we send our research team, and I said, send me anything you can on taxes. You can assume this was like a very exciting 2 weeks of my life, just studying taxes. It was awesome. It was a great experience. I can only imagine what it's like to want to be an accountant. It's got to be like a, fascinating experience.
High suicide rate among accountants,
So you know what happened? The one data that came about on when taxes got started, the history of tax. You know the whole story, what year it is, all this. I'm not going through that part. But I wanted to find out because a lot of people on the left say you can't compare governments to companies to, families.
You can. It just might not be useful.
But meaning it's not the same thing. You can't do that financially, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So you see the Lincoln thing that, story pops up where, back in 1861, this guy goes up and says, hey, U.S., we kind of need some money.
Yeah.
This war was so expensive for us. We're going to have to tax everybody 6%.
Yep.
But I promise you, when we pay it off, we'll stop taxes. Do you know what happened?
Well,
after they paid it off?
The taxes didn't end.
No, it ended.
Oh, they did end.
Let me read it to you.
Are you
Can
talking
pull
about
this
the
up?
3% or the 6%?
So watch this here.
Okay.
On August 5th, 1861, Lincoln imposed the first federal income tax by signing the Revenue Act strapped for cash, which the government is kind of like, they don't have cash. They're in debt. Yeah, so they need cash just like a corporation or a family. We don't have cash, so we need some debt.
Yep.
With which to pursue the Civil War, Lincoln and Congress agreed to impose a 3% tax on annual incomes over $800. As early as 1861, Lincoln had began to take stock of the federal government's ability to wage war against the South. He sent letters to cabinet members Edward Bates, Gideon Wells, and Salmon Chase requesting their opinions as to whether or not the president had the constitutional authority to collect duties. According to documents housed and interpreted by Library of Congress, Lincoln was particularly concerned about maintaining federal authority over collecting revenue from ports along the southeastern seaboard, which he worried might fall under the control of Confederacy. The Revenue Act language, Okay. According to the U.S. Treasury Department, the comparable minimum tax income in 2003, after adjustment for inflation, would have been around $16,000. Congress repealed Lincoln's tax law in 1871, which means there was no more taxes. But it came back up, obviously, in 1909. So this is an example of a story where we need some money. Let's go to the people. The people say, listen, here's some money, but I hope this stops. It's going to stop. So the moment we allow the government to use this power too much, they've abused it.
Okay.
And for me, my only argument is, if I have to choose between giving you $1 million, that's going to sound crazy, okay? I hope this doesn't get your head too big and you get too confident here.
Please.
If I give you $1 million or if I give $1 million to the government, I'm willing to bet you're probably going to create, a better climate with $1 million than the government would. And if I have the choice to give $1 million or $1 billion to creators, job creators, small business owners on what they can do as a source of investment, versus giving that money to the government, if there was a FICO score, if there was a FICO score, I don't know what your FICO score is, but you know the range. 400,
very high. Okay, extremely high.
400 to 820, give or take, that's the number where it's at. If we had to give a FICO score to the U.S. government, what do you think their FICO score would be today? Yeah, but he needs polls.
Give me the polling on that. No, listen, here, I mean, what you're saying is super interesting.
Do you know the point I'm making now?
Yeah,
because I want to be clear.
No, it's a clear point. And here's one of the things that I think I'm guessing we would probably agree on, which is when you think about the way that we organize society, this isn't politics. This is just like sociology, philosophy, kind of like reality. Once you get a group of people bigger than about 150 people, okay? If you want that to be run in some way that works, what we might define as works, you have to start introducing some level of centralization. That doesn't mean with 150 people, you need the tax system and everything that we have right now. But it's just kind of like a reality of organizing societies, that as societies grow from 150 people, and think about it, 330 million people now in the US, 8 billion people in the country, the idea that you have, which is, I'll just pick some people to give $1 million to instead of the government. It's that it just doesn't work.
That's it.
Some things have to be centralized.
I'm having fun with you, buddy, when I'm telling you that. But the point I'm trying to make to you is the following.
But the idea is an interesting one.
No, but the
it's
point
not. Okay.
The point. No, it isn't interesting. The point I'm trying to make to you is that's how the U.S. government was ran.
Yeah.
The country you and I are living in.
Yes.
It was ran that way. Guys, we don't have money. We go to the people. I promise you, once we pay this off, we're going to stop taxing you.
Yeah.
And we accepted it, no taxation. So we're like totally fine with this. We're game with this. And then now it's pure abuse. We don't have a choice now like we did back then.
Yep.
It was ran like a company. It was ran like a family, having their finances in order. Today, America's FICO score is in the 400s. You know, in the 400s, what you should be able to finance? Nothing.
I don't know. 60% down, 30% for a car.
Oh, it's at 400. It should be 100% down.
But so what would you want? So you said you were with me on like low 30s for taxes.
I am.
Right? Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So really, it sounds like the issue is more.
I would want a flat tax, and what I'm saying, I would want a flat tax, meaning I'd like to go somewhere between 10 or 15 to 33, and a time to go to 30.
That's not flat, is it?
I get that, but what I'm saying is, if America, like right now, we need to pay off debt. Guess what?
Yep.
Tax me 33.
Okay.
But let's gradually pay some of the stuff off. I would like for them to say, we're going to go off a budget of 25% or 20%. The 13%, every year we're going to pay off the debt. Okay? But here's a problem.
Yes.
You know why that'll never happen?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I don't know.
I'll give you my reason why.
Because Congress people will never win on that type of agenda.
If we have no term limits, these guys are going to play whatever games to.
You're for term limits.
Are you kidding?
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
Oh, you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, we just found some common ground with David Pakman and Patrick Bet David. Term limits on the agenda.
My challenge isn't my challenge is we're giving money to people that have proven they have no clue what to do with it, and the debt keeps climbing.
Now, when it comes to like social safety net, right? Can I tell you my view on this stuff, and you tell me if you agree, right? I moved to the U.S. as an immigrant. Okay. I had the benefit. If my parents had to pay for my initial schooling, like if they had to pay out of pocket for elementary school or whatever the case may be, my mom wasn't working at the time, my dad was just starting a job where he didn't make a lot of money. They couldn't have afforded if that public school said, we're going to charge you, right? So I immediately got the benefit of that. Follow along, right? I got the benefit of police protection, and then eventually all these different things, contracts. So when I started my show, Intellectual Property. So the way I see it is, I've been extraordinarily fortunate to be able to build my business and get to where I am, thanks to a whole bunch of things that everybody paid for through taxes. So my view now is, but let me finish up. I'm also okay. Like I recognize, I've got these great employees. Many of them had public school educations, and they have certain protections when it comes to safety in the work. All these different things.
You should be able to do all that with no more than 30%.
No, I'm not even getting to 30.
Yeah.
But so I feel it's almost like a patriotic thing where if taxes are properly set and being spent on the right things, I think now my success, which only exists because of previous taxpayers through all those programs I mentioned, it should go to help other people who don't have enough.
That's the wrong mindset, in my opinion.
Okay.
And let me tell you why I think it's the wrong mindset. Because, okay, you ever had a job?
Have I ever had a job?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, you don't have a job right now. You're a business owner. Have you had a job?
Oh, yeah,
working for a corporation?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you there for 5 years? Like, did you work for a company for 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of funny, but I worked for the now defunct retailer Circuit City for 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, selling extended service
They pay
plans.
very well, but I don't know when you worked, but
In
they
the
were
commission
paying very
era,
well in the commission
I
era.
got laid off when they went from commission to hourly.
Yeah.
The people who were making too many commissions, they didn't want to pay us hourly. They laid us off.
Check this out. Okay, so let me see if what year was it you were working at Circuit City?
It ended in 2003, so it would have been
That's
like
the era.
Yeah.
By the way, can you tell everybody how much a good salesperson at Circuit City was making?
Well,
If you remember, because
I'm willing to say this. I worked part-time because I was like starting college.
Check this out.
30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I was making $75,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
At Circuit City.
Yeah.
Okay.
They realized it was insane, and they're like, "We're not paying these people
But that's
anymore."
bullshit, though. That's bullshit, though, because that's why they went out of business.
Right. Oh,
the
absolutely.
model was working.
Yes.
You guys were doing your
Best
part.
Buy came up,
Dude,
and then Best Buy's paying $7 an hour.
But
How are you gonna...
you're about to validate my point. So check this out. This is a perfect example here. The perfect example is here.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you know how you go to a funeral and everybody's mourning, and maybe you don't know the person, but you're going because it's somebody you don't have a relation, like it's in-law or somebody like that.
Sure.
But just the pain on everybody's face, you feel it, right?
Yes.
So for me, when I hear a company going out of business, breaks my heart, especially a company that's been on for a long time.
Yep.
Because to start a company is very hard, very, very hard to start a company. To make it last past 5 years, super hard.
Right.
10, 20, 30 years. And then create hundreds, if not thousands of jobs. It's not easy to do. Somebody and a group of people had to sacrifice a lot, right? Okay. So what you're saying is the following.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Okay.
So the people who started Circuit City,
Yep.
okay, those who started Circuit City, those who paved the way before you, and they came and they crushed it, and now there's new management, and now because the people before you paved the way, you should accept lower salary to give back to the people that paved the way before, but it's not the people before that paved the way. It's the people today that are running Circuit City. You're actually not giving back to the people that paved the way. You're giving it to the idiots that are running Circuit City today. That's what's going on in America today. Meaning, you and I love America. I lived in Iran 10 years. I lived in Germany 2 years. I was in the military. And I come from a family politically on complete opposite sides, but I love this place. It's an amazing country. My responsibility on how I can contribute to society isn't through paying taxes. It's through creating jobs. It's through, when I pay my taxes, I paid a lot of taxes this year. A lot of taxes this year. Last year was a lot of taxes. I've been paying a lot of taxes, period. So, but for me, when I pay the taxes and I ask, where did that thing go to? Okay, what happened with that? What are they doing with that? If they're doing such a great job with it, why does the debt keep going higher? Why are we, keep not seeing any kind of return? Things are still same thing. Both of them are now asking to raise more money. Oh, it's only the left, the Democrats that just want to go. No, that's not. It's both of these sides who are part of the same camp. Another 1.9 trillion, another 2 trillion, another 2.7 trillion. I'm not for it.
Okay.
So all I'm saying to you is the same way the Circuit City folks ruined a great job you had making 75 grand, you're working 30 hours a week.
Yep.
They came, the new management decided to change the compensation structure that was working. That's the perfect example of how Circuit City went out of business. Same thing that a lot of politicians are doing today.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this clip, you want to see another one, click here to watch another clip. And if you want to take advantage of the latest Gold Signature Series products that just came out, we have a bunch of new merch that's out. This is a color-changing mug when you drink coffee. That lion turns into a real lion. And then we have hoodies with Valuetainment Gold on it, the Gold Signature Series hat, shirts. I'm an entrepreneur. Anyways, we have a lot of items. They're selling out. If you want to take advantage of the Gold Signature Series, click here, place your order, sport your Valuetainment gear, and tag us with the hashtag Valuetainment.